When you think of November through January, real estate may not be top of mind. Instead, you're probably thinking about the holidays. So before we get into what traditionally happens to real estate this time of year, let me start by wishing you and yours a very happy and safe holiday season. And I want to let you know just how thankful we are to have your viewership, your referrals, and your trust when it comes to buying, selling, and renting real estate. And most of all, we appreciate that you've shared us with your friends, you've subscribed to our channel, and you've given us your business. Most soon-to-be home sellers are not really thinking this time of year about having strangers come through their home, looking around and, keeping it really in top condition when they're decorated for the holidays and thinking about spending time huddling in their favorite rooms with family and friends. That is, unless they're very serious about selling their home. So if you're serious about buying a home and getting a great deal, keep watching this video. Now, before we go over our current real estate conditions, I want to tell you that if you're looking for a home during the holiday season, you won't be competing with buyers also focusing on traveling, visiting family and friends, and those holiday parties. So if we know that selling a home during the holidays is not the best for the seller, why are these sellers not removing their home from the market and just waiting for another couple weeks till we get to the new year? So if we know that it's not in the seller's best interest to market and advertise their home for sale during the holiday season, why aren't these sellers taking their home off the market and simply waiting till after the first of the year? Anyone that has their home on the market between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day are viewed as being very serious about selling their home. So while home shopping during the holiday season, what should you be doing and asking in order to get your best deal? First, I'd like to say to get your best deal, I would be focusing on homes that have been sitting on the market for at least 30 days. And ideally, I'd like to see when a house has been under contract within the listing period, and for whatever reason, it fell through and now it's back on the market. This means that sellers are most prepared to give you your best deal and allow you to have certain contingencies like the home inspection. And speaking of home inspections, should the initial contract have fallen through due to the home inspection, chances are that the sellers are going to have to disclose most of the items on the report. And there's also the possibility that the sellers may have performed a lot of the costly repairs or updates in order to not lose the next potential sale. So now let's go over the information that you should be prying out of these sellers trying to sell during the holiday season. And I'm about to tell you how to get this invaluable information. So there's two main types of sellers. There's sellers that have owner-occupied their homes, and then there's investors that maybe have rehabbed the home, or it may just be new construction. So the first thing that we want to know is, why are the sellers needing to sell? Though this information is deemed to be confidential to the listing agent, there are ways that you can ask questions to get the information you're looking for. And by asking the right questions, you can determine just how motivated they are. For example, if your buyer's agent asks the simple question, the story can be told. So one of my favorite questions to ask a listing agent is, do the sellers have a particular time when they'd like to move? And these are a few of the responses that I really like to hear. The listing agent may say, well, they've already moved out, so no. Or they may say they really need to move ASAP. They could also say that it's an estate sale and the children are just looking to sell as quickly as possible. And in all three of these responses, we know that the sellers are very motivated. If the owner-occupied home is vacant, this is your best opportunity to win the deal. They're no longer benefiting from living in the home, and they're incurring costs and liabilities every single day. The seller is still paying property taxes, insurance, and utilities, and usually during the holiday seasons, it may be cold, and heating a home is very expensive. Not to mention that there's a constant worry that a seller has when the home is vacant. It could be subjected to vandalism and even squatters. And another thing they have to continuously worry about is something like a water leak. Maybe the water heater gives out, or just something happens that they're not aware of that ends up costing lots of money. And if the seller has moved on, I really love it when they have paid for professional staging. Though staging looks great, it's very costly, and most staging companies, their initial fee only covers a rental period of about 60 days. So if the seller doesn't sell within that time, they have to pay more money for additional rental time. Some additional questions that your agent may ask to determine the seller's motivation could be, why did the sellers move out? If we make an offer contingent on home inspections, would the sellers be willing to make any repairs? This question may tell you the seller's financial situation. If they say no, the sellers really can't make any repairs and that they want to sell it as is, that kind of, gives you more of a heads up as if you even want to proceed in making an offer at all. If your sellers are no longer living in the house and their furniture is still there, your agent may ask, is any of the seller's furniture available to either buy or just simply leave behind? The answer to this question will tell a story as well. The agent may respond like, well, they moved into a smaller place, so they don't really have the room for it. They're planning on selling it or throwing it away. Or they also may mention that the seller has moved into an assisted living facility. Okay, so let's switch gears and talk about if you're interested in a home that is for sale by either a flipper or an investor or maybe a new home builder. Now, when I'm talking about a new home builder, I'm not really talking about the national builders because I'm more interested in the smaller builders that build on scattered lots. Maybe it's like a one and done and they can't, do anything else until they sell that one home. The big builders really have their hands tied when it comes to a lot of the negotiations. And making you a specific deal is simply not in the cards. So we'll just put the small scattered lot builders and the flippers in one category. Now, like the vacant seller that has lived in their home, every day the home sits vacant, it costs the investors more money. And there are other more important considerations to these investors than property taxes, insurance, utilities, and maintenance. They may have very costly hard money loans. And these types of loans cost them a lot of money every single day. And sometimes the interest rate can be north of 10%. And for many of these investors, it may be their first build or their first flip. So a lot of these investors, they underestimate their costs, and sometimes they're just willing to give a deal that's even below cost just to get out from under it. So in dealing with the investor and the small builder, these are some of the questions that I expect your buyer's agent to ask the listing agent. So they can ask, how many deals have you done with this builder or investor? There's a great chance that they may say it's their first deal. Another great question to ask is how many homes have they built or renovated, and whether the listing agent can give you a previous address that's local that you can check out. If it's a flip, take the time to see if it was listed before and check out all of the old photographs. That's going to give you a good idea of the scope of the flip and the renovations that were made. It's also going to tell you whether it's just lipstick on a pig. And this is the phrase that we use when they just kind of go in, paint and new flooring and things like that, minor upgrades, and then they tack on sometimes hefty profits where a lot of the home improvements or renovations that were really necessary just haven't been touched. And finally, your agent should be asking where their next project is and whether it has been started or not. This is going to tell you whether they have the financial capabilities of buying another deal before selling the one you're interested in. And I like them needing to sell this one first as the best answer because now I know they're even more motivated to get out from under and move on to maybe a better profitable deal as their experience level grows. We know in this business, any great negotiator has to be creative in the questions that they're asking their sellers when helping a buyer. And as I mentioned, in most cases, the listing agent isn't authorized to give up the seller's confidential information, but the creativity in the questions that you ask may tell the story so that you can put it together yourself. Asking the right questions can create a win-win for everybody. We're always interested in buyers getting great deals, but at the same time, you really are helping the sellers out. And despite any downturn in the market, if they purchased their home years ago, they have plenty of equity to negotiate. Thanks for watching this video. And if you like it, guys, you can hit the thumbs up. It will let me know that you did. As always, I appreciate when you subscribe to our channel, hit the alert bell. You'll know every time we upload content just like this. See you next time.
Sachs Realty, Maryland broker number 607720, office number 443-318-4514, equal housing opportunity.